to be on with everyone today. So again, this is one of the onboarding calls for the Chartwells Fair Trade Campaign Spring 2020 cohort. My name is Kylie Nealis, and I'm the Campus and Community Engagement Manager with Fair Trade Campaigns, and I'll let my colleague Billy introduce himself.
Hi everyone, I'm Billy. I'm the Director of Fair Trade Campaigns. Excited to have you guys all with us.
Great. So today's agenda, we'll first be reviewing the Fair Trade commitment that Chartwells made 2 years ago. We will be reviewing the Fair Trade Colleges and Universities program. Next, we'll be reviewing what a Fair Trade campus is and how you earn the Fair Trade College University designation. We'll hear a case study from Texas A&M. We're lucky to have Stephanie Denson on the line, who will share about their campaign's approach. And we'll cover what materials are available to support your Fair Trade Campus campaign. And lastly, Laura Lapp of Chartwells will run us through the timeline and next steps for this spring cohort, and we'll have some time for questions at the end. Please do put your questions in the chat as we move forward. That way we can save them for the end of the call. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Billy to take us through Chartwells' Fair Trade commitment.
Great, thanks Kylie. And we did one of these calls earlier with a number of your colleagues today, so I'm glad to have you all with us. Again, a couple housekeeping notes as folks continue to come on. Please make sure to mute yourself, especially if you're on a landline or a cell phone. And if you have any questions, as Kylie mentioned, or if you're having any trouble with the Zoom platform or audio, just let us know in the chat. So, as Kylie mentioned, we're really excited to be on this call with you guys. Fair Trade Campaigns is part of a global movement to drive more consumer awareness and demand for fair trade products, to educate consumers on the impact that their individual purchasing decisions can make, and also to leverage the immense institutional purchasing power to deliver impact to farmers, workers, and artisans across the globe. And as part of that, we work through an organizing model that builds local campaigns, local efforts to meet the set of goals that Kylie will go over in a little bit. We work with currently about 320 local initiatives across the country, and fully half of those are on college and university campuses, which I'm sure surprises nobody on this call. So it's been really meaningful to move forward in this program and grow this program with partners like Chartwells. And so for a little background on that partnership, 2 years ago at our national conference, Chartwells announced their commitment to ensuring that fair trade coffee and tea was available on all campuses that Chartwells provides food service and dining services for. And that has been rolled out. So at almost all, if not all, Chartwells campuses, fair trade coffee and tea are readily available. That signifies a really strong move in the coffee sector in particular, because right now the global coffee market is as low as it's been in the last 20 years. And so one of the reasons fair trade is so important is that it is one of the systems that allows producers to have the safety net that the money that they're earning for their efforts stay above the cost of production. And where the coffee market is right now is undermining that. So sorry, I'm not to get too far ahead. Kylie, back up one slide though. I want to make sure we highlight this piece around the colleges and universities program. So in addition to the announcement at our conference publicly around sourcing fair trade products, working with Laura and the national team, we also rolled out a plan aligned with the intent of Chartwells to move through a process semester by semester in which all Chartwells campuses will over time become fair trade colleges or fair trade universities. And so that is what this call is focused on. As you know, we rolled out our initial cohort after about a year of planning with Laura and team this fall. We worked with about 40 campuses and 40 of your colleagues across the country with great success. And now we're moving into this second cohort that you're all a part of. So sorry, now you can go ahead, Kylie, to the next slide. As I mentioned, fair trade is designed to be a system of empowerment and an opportunity for producers who are largely cut out of direct market access to be able to form business relationships with companies and institutions and traders and importers in kind of quote unquote consumer countries like the U.S. And so fair trade standards are rigorous, and they ensure that the three pillars of sustainability are all being taken into account. And I'm not going to read this slide to you, but if you're on the phone, those pillars are economic sustainability, social sustainability, and environmental sustainability. And fair trade standards are met both by the production on the ground, so farmer co-ops, farmer worker bodies, or artisan groups, and then there are standards up and down the supply chain to ensure fair prices are being paid, and that businesses on our end of the supply chain are living up to their commitments. And so the things that I'll highlight here, I'll highlight a couple things under economic sustainability. First and foremost is that minimum price guarantee. That's the safety net. So right now in a coffee market where coffee is selling globally, hovering just around $1 or under $1 per pound of coffee, we know that the cost of production, just of production, is about $1.30, $1.35 a pound. So literally any cup of coffee that's sold, any coffee being sourced against the global coffee market is actively driving farmers deeper into poverty. What fair trade does is it provides a minimum price guarantee so that farmers can access market prices when the markets are high and around or above the cost of production. They, of course, can always sell at a higher premium than that based on the quality of their coffee in this example, or if it's organic or other sustainability attributes. But farmers also know that when the market drops, they will not make below that price. So right now, the current international fair trade coffee price is $1.41 a pound. So as you can see, it ensures not just the cost of production, but some livelihood as well. The other component that I'll highlight under economic standards is the community development premium. And this is a fund that is decided on by the community, by the farmers and their families and their villages on how to invest that money. We'll get into some examples of that in a second. The things I just want to highlight under social elements of fair trade standards are things like prohibition against child labor or forced labor, no discrimination or abuse, equal representation based on participation of gender equity and gender representation on decision-making bodies, safety measures for workers around things like handling chemicals, hours in the sun, drinking water, all of those things that farm workers in particular are vulnerable to. And then under environmental, it's very rigorous on the ground. And in fact, many fair trade producers very soon achieve organic certification based on the environmental rigor of the fair trade standards. And that's things like prohibition on GMOs, ensuring waste management, the prohibition against the worst forms of agrochemicals, water usage, emissions, and things like that. And so I'll wrap this piece up with just a little bit of the examples of the community development premium, which is where we see some of the really amazing impact of the fair trade system. So in addition to just investing appropriate spend to allow communities to invest in their own sustainability, the community development premium in the fund is what allows communities to invest in things like education and scholarships. One of the biggest barriers to primary school attendance in developing countries is lack of uniforms. Uniforms are required in most countries, and they can cost $50 to $100 a year. Something like that keeps entire communities of children out of schools. So these are the kinds of things that are invested in: healthcare, clinics, dental care. Excuse me, while I'm at my home office and the mail comes, my guard dog is defending us. But these are the types of projects that communities invest in that really elevate their communities, really build healthier communities, and provide access to services that otherwise they would have no access to. And before my dog barks anymore, let me hand it over to Kylie to talk a little bit more about our colleges and universities programs specifically.
Thanks, Billy. So I'll take a few minutes to just overview our colleges and universities program in terms of the scale and impact. So as this map shows, we do have fair trade campus campaigns all across the nation. We're on about 150 college and university campuses now, and much in thanks to our partnership with Chartwells, as Billy said, where we rolled out about 40 campaigns in the fall, and this was in addition to about a dozen or so existing Chartwells accounts that had launched campaigns on their own prior to the commitment. So as this slide shows, you can see we have pretty large concentrations of our campaigns in the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, the Great Lakes, and the Southwest regions. We also have regional networks in those regions with a team of volunteer leaders guided by a set of regional fellows. So if your campus does fall within one of those regions, you'll have some additional support for the effort in the way of contact with that regional fellow. This next slide just shows you the growth of colleges and universities pursuing fair trade campaigns. So again, I'm sure it's no surprise to anyone on the call that higher education institutions are really leading the way in terms of sustainability, and no longer just through environmental sustainability, but also social responsibility through ethical sourcing. So you can see here we've had incredible increase in the number of fair trade campaigns launched on college campuses in recent years, and we're excited for that to grow with Chartwells. Next, I'll review the steps to achieving the Fair Trade College University designation. So it's a 5-step process, and we start with build your team. So this is the most important goal in many ways, in that it sets up your campaign for future success with a real stable and strong fair trade committee. The minimum for this goal is 5 members, including at least 1 non-student. Now, of course, you're all leading your campaigns through dining, and so you will be that non-student member. And then the question there is, who else can you bring in to this committee to make it very robust and strong committee to pursue the other goals? A lot of times what we're seeing is Chartwell's accounts are reaching out across campus. They're bringing in a member of the sustainability office, for example, bringing in students that are involved more widely with the student body and student government. And students is absolutely critical to the success of these fair trade campaigns. So our vision, is really that dining will lead the team through the goals to become a fair trade university, with a long-term plan, if desired, to actually shift ownership and execution to the students, with dining as the headquarters. Students can be a really great resource for engaging the wider student body, for hosting and manning tabling events, but also just for doing things like helping product map and do some of the data entry and other pieces. So definitely rely on your student interns for this piece. The second and third goals are where we really hit the impact of the fair trade campaign. So as Billy said, through the sale of each fair trade product, a portion of the sale goes back to farmers and workers in the form of a community development fund. This is really where we see this amplified through goal 2. So this goal is every Chartwells operated venue on campus must offer at least 2 fair trade products. Now, many of you are already well on your way through Chartwell's commitment, certainly through the coffee and tea offerings and other offerings as well. But you would need to do a mapping process here to start to make sure that each of those Chartwells operated venues do offer at least 2 products. And I will also add here that, it doesn't need to be 2 separate commodities or categories of product, coffee and tea or sugar and cocoa, but 2 options of like a fair trade certified iced tea would suffice if that was successful at one of your locations. The other the other body on campus that does need to comply here is the bookstore. So the bookstore does need to offer 2 products as well. And while we understand that that is outside of Chartwell's purview, it's important to enroll them as they're such a large purchaser on the campus. And we have some really good specific resources for you to do so. The third goal, offices and catering. Again, this is really about amplifying impact through purchasing. We need 3 examples of an office, an institutional event, or a meeting that was served fair trade products through catering. A really great way to pursue this is to just make fair trade coffee or tea the default option through catering, so that folks on campus don't have to request it, but it's already in the menu. And again, our low-hanging fruit here with both of these goals are typically coffee, tea, sugar, and cocoa. And a minimum of just 3 examples is required for the offices and catering goal. The fourth goal, commit to fair trade education and events. This is really where you can get creative with the campaign. We want this goal to be an opportunity for you to really highlight Chartwell's own sustainability commitments and the offerings that you have on your campus. This is generally events focused, but you can also have examples of fair trade in the classroom, curriculum that's touching on fair trade, media coverage, and a minimum of 4 activities is required to meet this goal. So when you think about the spring semester and embarking on the fair trade campaign process, you would want to organize 4 events from now through, say, the end of May, the end of the school year. We'll get into some of the opportunities that we provide at Fair Trade Campaigns to help you fulfill this goal, like Fair Trade Finals and some of our other programs in a few moments here. Goal 5, pass a fair trade resolution. This is the 5th and final step. It is a resolution that we do have ready to go for you, so you don't need to draft it from scratch. It's a standard template that we provide all of our campuses, and it is approved by the college or university president. Now, in some cases where presidential approval is not feasible, we will work with campuses on a case-by-case basis to identify an alternative, but that is the goal, to have the president approve and sign that resolution. You can complete these goals in any order that you see fit. It is by no means a set 1 through 5 roadmap. I will say that most of the Chartwells accounts in the fall did decide to pursue goals 1 through 4, get those covered, and then embark upon the resolution, but it's never too early to scope support. And I would also encourage everyone on this call to start thinking about now, who are those allies with the resolution piece that you can bring on? Is it someone in the sustainability department or office? Is it someone in the student government? We've had a lot of campuses pass resolutions through student body and then bring them up to the president. So start thinking about those kind of likely allies now. And one other piece that I'll mention on the resolution, and in general, a good way to get support from sustainability, we do partner with the organization ASHE, the Association for Advancing Sustainability in Higher Education. And by becoming a fair trade campus, you can actually gain additional credits through their STARS rating program. So that's something that'll be very appealing to your colleagues in the sustainability offices on campus, and something that you can use to enroll their support. And we'll make sure everyone has more information on that program after the call. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Stephanie Denson, who is on the line, who will share a case study of Texas A&M and how her university approached their campaign.
Thanks, Kylie. Everything good? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Perfect. Okay. Hey guys, like Kylie said, my name is Stephanie Denson, and I am the district marketing manager here at Texas A&M University. All of y'all should have received my email when we were gathering all the information for fair trade campaigns. When we sent out the smart sheet, you probably received that email from me, and I'm working closely with them trying to get all of our spring cohorts for this semester. But like I mentioned, I am at Texas A&M University, and we became a fair trade designated campus in September of 2017 officially. Courtney Bryant Hill, the regional marketing director in the East Division, was actually the person who started that here on this campus, and I had taken it over in fall of 2018, and we're in our 3rd full year of being a designated campus here in Texas. So I have some information here that kind of talks about our committee and how we try to make our committee very, have a lot of different people. So we obviously have our Chartwell staff. I am the marketing director here. We do not have a sustainability director or coordinator on campus. So a lot of our sustainability initiatives fall under my department, and we work with our operators to make sure that we are communicating any sustainability initiatives that we have going on. So I have a sustainability intern in my department who's on our committee, and she is considered one of the students. We also work closely with the Office of Sustainability because, like Kylie said, we also handle the STARS ASHE report each fall, when that's due each October, and this is something that you do get additional credits for. So they are a huge partner on this because they want us to have as many credits as we can for our university. So with the Office of Sustainability, we have a staff member as well as at least one to 3 students, depending on the semester, who are in our committees. And then we also have faculty from the university who has been a great help the past few semesters. She is a teacher in the communications department, but she has a passion about fair trade and has been on our committee for the past several years. And we're continually looking to recruit to get more people in our campaign. But Kylie, can you go to the next slide, please? All right, so a big part of when Kylie had those 5 steps there, one of the ones that I remember being a little nervous about was about the educational events. But I learned that this is really doesn't have to be as large as one might think when you hear the term event. We just make sure that anytime that we have the opportunity to talk about fair trade on campus, that we bring that to our campus community. So we have a very large campus compared to several other Chartwell schools. We have 60,000 students and about 5,000 acres. So we try to get in as many different places of campus as we can, because you're not going to see the same students twice. And that's one of our biggest challenges or hurdles, is just explaining to our campus community what fair trade is, because they either are not aware or they hadn't heard of it before. So we want to explain to them what it is before we even explain what a fair trade designation means and where our fair trade products are. So we make sure that we go to campus sustainability events. We have Earth Day events planned this April. We've done tabling in our own dining locations across campus. One, you'll see a picture there, my sustainability intern Yadira, the past 3 semesters has presented at a class. Dr. Holliday, who is on our Fair Trade Committee, she teaches a corporate social responsibility class. So getting to present to students in the classroom counts as one of these events. And we're kind of expanding that across campus, maybe trying to get into some more sustainability focused classes across campus so we can explain what our designation is. But you can kind of read on the screen, we do several different things throughout campus, where we do social media for Fair Trade Fridays, and definitely having signage across campus so they can learn that logo and try to figure out where they can get those items. And we do lots of samplings with our fair trade coffees and teas as well, because we serve all fair trade coffee and tea in our dining halls on campus. And then we have several items, specifically cocoa is one of our biggest, the chocolates we have around campus is we sell lots of those products, as well as we have a like Ben & Jerry's. You see that in the picture right there with my intern Yadira. We have Ben & Jerry's has fair trade sugar, so that is a fair trade product that we have at our convenience stores. So I work with our team to make our operators to make sure that they are sourcing at least those 2 fair trade products, and that my group can communicate out to the campus community where they can buy those products on campus. Can you go to the next slide, please? But yeah, so these are just kind of your next steps after this call, and Kylie will get into a little bit more. Sorry, this is really more actually about kind of what we're doing looking forward. While we do have a fair trade campaign, and we have been one for the past 3 years, we're always looking to spread our reach across campus. So we're looking for other ways to spread this message to different groups that we don't currently see. So that's why we meet with our campaign. We've been trying to meet once a month this semester. Previously, it was every other month. Just trying to make sure we have our schedule planned out for each semester, and that when we do get those, when we have to report back in the spring about how our campaign went the past year, that we have all those things checked off our list. So Fair Trade Campaigns has been a really great partner with us and with Chartwells in general, and Kylie and her team are just want to help us in any way that we can. So I'm available if you ever want to reach out to me and ask questions about how we're doing it on our campus, but I definitely encourage you to find, there's several marketers who already have fair trade campuses here in Chartwells across the sector that we just need to kind of work together. And that's where Kylie will kind of talk about some resources that are already available with some best practices, but us continually do that, I think, is going to make us most successful. But yeah, it's been really great to have here. Our clients are very excited that we continue to do this every single year, and we're just continuing with that campaign and just excited to spread the message across campus.
Thank you, Stephanie, for that overview. That was great. So for the next piece, I will run through what resources are available to support your fair trade campaign. So some of these we've already touched on, but I do want to highlight that we have a custom organizing toolkit for Chartwells accounts. Now this toolkit will run through those 5 goals that I previously covered, the 5 steps to achieving designation, with corresponding resources and tips for each goal. So it really is your sort of North Star resource to be able to run your campaign. Everybody will receive a copy of that guide after this call, if they haven't already, and that'll be a really helpful resource to not only utilize within your team, but also to share with others as you're scoping support for the campaign on campus. The Chartwells Purchasing Playbook, of course, detailing Chartwell's current fair trade options for sourcing. We at Fair Trade Campaigns have product lists, for example, the most commonly found fair trade products on a university campus. We have a bookstore specific list, which will be real helpful for your colleagues at the bookstore, as well as overviews of the different fair trade labels. There are 4 third-party verified fair trade labels that we recognize at Fair Trade Campaigns, so you can dive into each of those a little bit more. We have event guides, anything ranging from tastings and tabling events to film screenings and fair trade fashion shows, and lots of really successful events that campuses have held. Fair Trade Finals, which is a program that I'll talk about in a moment, an opportunity to run a tabling event in the fall and in the spring. Fair Trade 101 fact sheets. So, to Stephanie's point, it can be certainly a lift to educate an entire campus community about fair trade. We've really aimed to build out a robust library of different fact sheets on fair trade. So not only by commodity, specifically bananas or sugar or coffee or cocoa, fair trade impact there, but also issue areas. How does fair trade support women's empowerment? How does fair trade relate to environmental sustainability, access to education? So you can really drill down into the issues on your campus that folks are interested in through some of those fact sheets. The resolution template, which I mentioned in my overview of the steps, those regional networks and fellows, again, if you are in the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, the Great Lakes, or the Southwest. Coaching via email and phone. I'm always available to answer questions via email and set up one-off strategy calls as well with folks, as well as group strategy calls that we'll be scheduling for later this spring, likely in April. So I'll talk about our Fair Trade Finals program here before I kick it back over to Billy. This is a program that we run twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring, and it's really an opportunity to highlight the fair trade offerings on your campus. So we do provide materials that you can order from us, things like Fair Trade Campaigns branded stickers and pins, bookmarks, handouts, etc. You saw some great examples in the last photos that Stephanie showed, but really an opportunity to highlight the offerings on your campus. So we suggest that you host this in a high traffic area, your busiest dining hall on campus, typically around finals week, but also flexible there based on the timing of your campus. And it's really an opportunity to get as much attention as you can for the campaign. It's also a great opportunity to have folks sign up to get involved. If you're finding that you are lacking student involvement, put a sign-up sheet out there on the table and see if you can get some interest that way. So do stay tuned. That program will be opening for you all to sign up and order those materials in March, and we look forward to having everyone participate in that, and that does count towards that goal 4. So if you participate in that Fair Trade Finals program for this spring, you just have 3 more entries for the access, the education and events. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Billy to talk about our upcoming national conference.
Great, thanks, Kylie. And so, in addition to the programs we have for all of you on campus and the resources we have at the regional level with our fellows and our regional networks, we also once a year take the opportunity to bring our community of advocacy together for our national conference. And so we seek to do a few things with this conference. Any kind of organizing or grassroots work or advocacy work, even on teams at the local level, can be a little bit lonely. And so it's important for folks working in this space to be able to come together, learn from one another, see how vibrant the national community is and how much outstanding work is going on all over the country. Second is it's an opportunity to bring a large group of different stakeholders together, positioning fair trade as kind of a natural convener. We know that, especially for our student advocates, there are a lot of causes and issues that they all care about. There are a lot of causes and issues that we all care about, from the different elements and components of social justice and sustainability, human rights, all of those things. And we know that fair trade touches a lot of those issues. And we partner with a lot of organizations that are working on a range of issues that are also probably present on the majority of your guys' campuses. And so we utilize the conference as an opportunity to bring all of those folks together to, again, build more solidarity, build more networking opportunities, but also ensure that the folks doing this hard work on campuses and in communities as part of fair trade campaigns sees those tie-ins and understands that when you're working on a fair trade university campaign, you're also in many ways working on efforts to mitigate human trafficking or child labor, that you're also working on an effort that touches environmental sustainability and climate change and migration and things like that. So it's a really great convening of thought leaders, of brands, of partners, folks like yourselves. Chartwells has been a sponsor and been on stage at our conference for and will be on all 3 years that we've had once we're through Pasadena, as well as many of your colleagues in some of the other campus-related service sector. We have thought leaders from other nonprofits, from other movements. We bring producers in the fair trade system from all over the globe. We will have folks from India this year, from the Philippines, from Mexico, and in Central and South America. So it just brings all of this work to life, keeps people feeling plugged in and inspired, and it's a great time of the spring semester to really kick things into high gear, because after the conference, which is March 20th through 22nd, it's really a month before we get into finals. And so there's a lot of great work that we know gets done every year coming out of the conference, and that's why we position it at a time of the spring semester when lots of folks are on spring break and people are more available to attend, and B, gives a real line of sight and some strategic guidance as to how to best spend that last month to 6 weeks between the conference and the end of the semester to move the needle as much as possible on campus against those goals. So we would love to have any and all of you that can be there, and any and all of the students you're working with at the conference. We have a campus partnership program. A number of campuses have become campus partners through dining. So if you look at the website, it's conference.fairtradecampaigns.org. You'll be able to see our campus partner program. And that is any campus entity that sponsors the attendance of 3 students by covering their registration is a formal campus partner and gets promotion similar to the way that the sponsors do. So you can see on the website, if you get a chance to take a look, every year we have around 20 to 30 campuses that are campus partners. And if you look on there now, you'll even see some of the branding for those campus partners as actually through dining. So we got a lot of resources for that, lots of guidance and strategy that we can help you or any students you're working with on that if you're interested. And we are in Pasadena, California this year, so if you're on the West Coast or in the Southwest, it's pretty accessible. And we're happy to answer any questions or do any follow-up with you to help think about potentially attending. And we, again, anticipate having great attendance and participation from the Chartwells community.
Great. Thank you, Billy. So timeline and next steps, I'm going to turn this back over to Stephanie at Texas A&M. Take it away, Stephanie.
Hey, Laura, did you get to join the call? Were you on?
I did, but you are welcome to take this. Please feel free to go ahead.
I'll go ahead. I just wanted to make sure. So as you see, timeline next steps. The first step is to ensure at least 2 fair trade certified products are served at each internal dining location on campus. And what this means is any non-national brand locations. That is so anything that is not, like I said, a national brand. So if all your convenience stores, things of that sort. So work with your operators to have at least 2 fair trade certified products. It can be 2 flavors of something. Definitely, like there's a tea that both are fair trade. If you get 2 different flavors, that count as 2. So that can be your first step. And then the next is begin working with Fair Trade College University process, where we do want you to go to the Fair Trade Campaigns website and go ahead and register your school, so we can get that going. And that is just something to keep track of your progress. And we definitely want to be resources for each of you. And if you have questions about there is some information on My Compass, but I know if you have specific questions about how it relates to your campus, please reach out to me and your regional marketing director so we can make sure that we're giving you all the, that we can help you with any hurdles or any questions. And we will have a time for questions coming up, but kind of really, we want your campuses to, these are the next 2 steps right now, which is get those 2 products in each of those locations and then start working through those 5 steps that we covered earlier. But to ensure that you're working on those 5 steps, if you register on the website, that will be greatly beneficial. Is there anything I left out, y'all?
No, that was great. Thank you, Stephanie. And Laura, I'm so glad you were able to join. Do you want to go ahead and close us out?
Sure. Yeah. I appreciate everyone taking some time this afternoon to join the call. Again, please make sure you go ahead and register your campaign at thefairtradecampaigns.org. It's really simple, should only take you about 5 minutes, and it just helps you keep good track of everything within your campaign. And it was probably mentioned earlier, you do not have to follow the steps in 1, 2, 3 order, so you can definitely bounce around, and things that you may have, events that you may have held already this year, you can count towards your educational commitments and requirements. Hopefully you're all already well on your way to having those 2 fair trade certified products already, because we've had such an increased focus on it over the last couple of years with some different products. We certainly have lots of new bottled beverages to add to the fair trade campaigns. We've got lots of great Organic Valley products, Farmer Brothers coffee. So it should be relatively easy for you to find the 2 products that you need for each location. If you find that you have gaps, your regional chef can certainly help. Or your local culinarians there on your campus can be a great place to start. But do make sure that you get registered, because that's a great way for us to just keep track of how everyone is progressing. And if you run into any kind of challenges on campus that we can help you with, we can always help through that registration too. And just to instigate a little bit of friendly competition, I would love to see the spring cohort complete more resolutions than the fall cohort did during their session last fall. So if you're spurred by feeling like you can crush somebody with some competition, then please go for it, because we would love to see every single one of you get your resolutions by the end of the spring semester. So Kylie, we can move over to some questions.
Great. Thank you so much for that closing, Laura. And before we move on to questions, I will just emphasize, once you register your campaign on the website, this is what your public-facing campaign page will look like. All of the data for the Fair Trade campaign is tracked and added on your own through this website, which is great because you're not waiting on us to get back to you. And again, a really good role for a student intern to be in charge of. And so as you can see here, the example of Texas A&M at Galveston, they've completed some of the goals, and once you start to add your products, you'll have them listed here on the page, as well as a photo gallery. You can link your social networks. So really take this page and kind of treat it as your hub for your Fair Trade campaign, and know that all of the information will be tracked through here. And with that, let's go ahead and move on to the Q&A. So let's see if anyone has anything in the chat. Please feel free to put your questions here in the chat. Otherwise, just go ahead and take yourself off mute, and you can ask a question of myself, Billy, Laura, or Stephanie.
While questions are coming in, I just wanted to reiterate, I didn't say it when I kind of talked about the next steps, but the goal is to have these resolutions signed by your university by May 2020, so by the end of the semester. So that's the goal, is to get that done, and that's kind of what the expectation is, and that's where Laura was talking about. We're trying to get more people to get those resolutions completed by the end of the semester than the ones who were able to do it last fall. But if there are any concerns about getting all this done by that time, there are definitely getting the educational events within this next few months is something that's definitely doable, because you can do a variety of different types of educational events to cover the next few months.
Yeah, thank you for adding that, Stephanie. And in regards to getting the resolution passed by the end of May 2020, I will also add, again, if you're in one of those regions where we do have fellows, you'll immediately be put in contact with your regional fellows. They're available to schedule a support call, to strategize, run through potential allies for that resolution piece, and just help you to really understand the process there. I'm also available for those one-off strategy calls, especially with those campaigns outside of those regions. So we're happy to talk to you on the phone and really dive into this piece early on. And I will just emphasize with the resolution, we do need to see that draft. It does need to be sent to myself. My email will be available after the call, and that way we can make sure that it meets our standards and we approve it before it's brought up to the administration. But again, as long as you use that standard template that you'll all receive, you should be in good shape.
Hey guys, this is Jeremy. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah. Hey, this is Jeremy from LSU. So I just want to make sure I have this in my head as far as which steps to take. So before I do all of this, I would imagine this is a conversation that I want to have with my client and let her know that this is what the ultimate goal is, and that a resolution is where we want to end up. So before, and I could see we just went to her with quite a bit of initiatives. Quite a bit going on. And so if I add this to it and say, hey, in addition, we want to do this, if I don't think she's going to sign off by May 2020, do I not register us? And because I don't want to start something and then it mess up what our goals are. You know what I mean? Is this making sense? I can start bringing the things in. I can start doing all of that. But to say that I'm going to get her to sign we don't even have a president yet. Our president left. We have an interim. So, you know.
Yeah, Laura, can you answer that? How we should, or should we take that offline? What do you think?
I guess that's a tough one because I don't want to put you in a sticky spot with your client or your president. But let me say this too. I mean, a lot of this stuff you can do before you even loop them in a whole lot. And I don't say that to be sneaky. What I'm saying is they make great tabling events. They make great LTO type things, great interruption tables, educational touch points for students. So we do have some campuses that have done all of it, and then they can take it to the president and say, oh, look how easy this is going to be for you to sign this resolution because everything is already done. So it could just be a matter of informing your day-to-day client, we're going to start educating students on fair trade and put a little bit bigger focus on it. You know, loop them into that part of the conversation, but you don't necessarily have to push for the resolution at this point.
Yeah,
I can absolutely do that. That would work for us for sure.
Great. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, one of the things that we know from the experience of these campaigns on campus is that fair trade very naturally fits into a lot of the broader kind of sustainability initiatives and goals going on campus. So it can also be positioned as a way to contribute to those. Another thing you can do with the resolution piece when you get to that point, and again, the goal is to do this by the end of the semester, but every campus is different. And, you know, in a situation with an interim president, you know, that's a perfect example. But it's also an opportunity to provide leadership, you know, for your students as well, because, you know, it's one thing for you to go to your client, it's another for the students who are involved to go with. And again, this is not like a do this or else approach, but you know, that's when students go to decision makers at campuses and say this is meaningful to us and it's a designation that we think would be of value to the university. That's also another kind of perspective that can be impactful and effective. So I think with all of that said, you know, hopefully it's something we can get moving on with you guys, and then you know, as that kind of governance scenario settles, think strategically about how and when the best way to approach the resolution is.
Well, and it feels like we do this because it's the right thing to do, not necessarily. I mean, I know the resolution is important, but from our perspective of just doing the right thing, I mean, I can do all of this and I can get it all rolling and it can all be wonderful because it's what we should do. But if I can't get a resolution by May 2020, can I still register and start the process going? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Got it. I can do that. Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone on the phone? You can also put your questions in the chat. Anything else coming up for folks before we wrap up? Okay, well, I really appreciate everyone taking the time. And just to close out the call, I will say that we will be following up with everyone after this call. We were recording the call today as well, so for your colleagues on your team that were unable to join, you'd like them to be in the loop, you can send the link to the call recording. You'll receive that Chartwells toolkit, and as Laura did emphasize, please do go and register your campaign. We won't be able to formally publish your campaign and get things rolling until we do have that registration in. Laura, anything else from your end before we wrap up?
No, just if anybody, if you've got any questions, if you get stuck or need a refresher, please feel free to reach out for help. Stephanie can help, Courtney, Bryant can help. I'm available, and then certainly Kylie and Billy, who led this call. We're all here as resources for you, and we don't want this to be frustrating. It should be fun, and it should be relatively easy. So please don't let any challenges be a hurdle to you.
Great. Thanks for that, Laura. And everyone will receive my email in the follow-up to this call, but just for the folks on the line, it is Kylie, Kylie, at fairtradecampaigns, it's all one word, .org. And you can reach out anytime with questions around starting the process or to schedule a strategy call. And with that, thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Laura and Stephanie, for presenting. Thanks, Billy, and have a good rest of your evening, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.